Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. I know it's not Halloween. Alright, that's long past. But when it came to my Halloween videos, I ran out of time and I couldn't upload everything I wanted to. So that's why I'm uploading them past Halloween. But if you stop and look at it like this, at some point in time, it's gonna be Halloween time again, October. So somebody eventually will stumble upon my videos and watch it around Halloween time. So yeah, and I'm here today to talk to you about Annabelle Creation. This came out in 2017. And you can find it on Tubi, but they're gonna take it off soon. But you can also find it on HBO Max, I believe. And so when it comes to this movie, it's part of the Conjuring universe. I've only seen 2 of those movie entries, this one and The Nun 2. I didn't like The Nun 2. It just didn't do it for me. The jump scares didn't do it for me. The story didn't do it for me. It was kind of confusing and I didn't know what the heck was going on. And so I think a couple of other people didn't like The Nun 2. In fact, The Nun 2 came out in September of this year, and I was able to watch it on Tubi in October. And so I'm just kind of like, well, that was awfully fast that it hit digital and everything. Because, you know, either Tubi is stepping up its game or it just didn't do that well. And so those are the only movies in Peter Safran and James Wan's Conjuring universe I've ever seen. But I remember when I had HBO Max earlier this year, I remember seeing those movies on their site. I just never paid no attention to them. And so I get to watch them soon because I'm going to get HBO Max again because they got a good discount. For $2.99 for 6 months, and you can't beat that. And so I'm finally gonna get to see what all this crap is about because reading it online is just one thing, but actually seeing it is believing, you know. And I had no idea the Conjuring movies were about a folklore of a Raggedy Ann doll named Annabelle. Was people, I think a nurse said the doll was possessed or something like that. So these 2 people who, deal in searching out paranormal stuff, they put it in a museum, and it was in a glass box until the museum came down. And so I had no idea this was all about a doll, a possessed doll and everything. I just assumed The Conjuring was just about I don't know, this is a regular demonic ghost thing. I didn't know it had something to do with a doll, but that's kind of neat and everything, you know. And of a Raggedy Ann doll of all things. Now, of course, Annabelle in these movies is not a Raggedy Ann doll. Probably because of legal fees and stuff. They probably just don't have the rights to do that. So I'm glad they went for the more creepier porcelain doll kind of look. And so this movie was directed by David F. Sandberg. And it was a creepy movie, and I mean it was a creepy movie, man. All the crazy paranormal psychological stuff that was going on was so cool and stuff. I really like how newer movies can be fresh and interesting and stuff instead of doing the same tropes that other horror movies have done or other evil doll movies. And so, of course, this is the prequel to that of Annabelle. There have been at least 3 movies by name of Annabelle. Annabelle, this one, and Annabelle Comes Home. And so, one bad thing about prequels is that if there's ever a demonic evil force or whatever, they're not going to get their comeuppings because, of course, the sequels have to take shape and everything. So that's always a bummer. And so, when it comes to this movie, I love, like I said before, I love all the paranormal jump scare stuff. I love the acting. There's a lot of people in this movie I recognize. I recognize pretty much the entire cast. But there are some slight problems with this movie. For one, pacing. This movie goes by, like, a lot of events happen very quickly, and it leaves me confused because I've never seen the movies that built up to this. And so when all these scenes just rush by really fast, I'm just utterly confused, especially with the ending. I am so confused by the ending. Like, I had to go online and I'm still kind of confused. Like, I get it. The Annabelle person grew up and went to go kill the foster parents. All right, I get that. But who was that guy that was helping and stuff? And then the neighbors next door, like, when they go check and then you hit like the little goofy music and it just ends. And I'm just kind of like, you know, I could have done without the ending, like I really could have, but it would be nice if they were to make a sequel to the ending, or, show, well, you can't really show what happened with her growing up because she ain't gonna kill the parents. Maybe she'll kill somebody else. So they can do something like that, you know what I'm saying? Because there's so many possibilities. But because the pacing is so fast that the original Annabelle, once all that time passed, I assumed the two girls in that vehicle, I thought one of them was Annabelle, just a little bit grown up, but it's not. It's two different completely characters, orphans and everything. And another problem I have with this movie is character development or lack thereof. There is really no character progression, no real character development within this entire movie. It's like, people do things and it's just kind of like, well, why did they do that? Then it's like, you get to another part of the movie and it's just kind of like, well, I don't know much about this character. I'm assuming they're going to do this, but then they do something completely different. Like the older girl. I think she picked on the girl with polio at one point. And so I thought, okay, maybe she'll be like a rebel or something like that, or a mean girl. And she wasn't. But then when the other girls all like, yo, we thought we saw something, which she thought she did too. She's like, nah, just a figment of your imagination. I'm like, heifer, how they gonna be a figment of their imagination if you saw it too? And they tried to grab that one girl and they pulled the sheet from y'all head. I mean, come on now. And so I just didn't understand like these characters in the movie. But what's so worse is that some of these characters don't do absolutely nothing. And it's to the point where I'm just kind of like, why are you even in this movie if you're not really doing nothing? And like some of the people who don't do nothing is Lolo Saffron, who is of course Peter Saffron's daughter, who appears in pretty much all his stuff. She's even in Annabelle Comes Home as like a little girl, playing a completely different character. And I'm just kind of like, I hope at least they made her look different. Then there's Tyler Buck, which yeah, I was very surprised. She did absolutely nothing in this movie and she barely said anything. She was the black girl in this movie. And I remember her from Superman and Lois. At least she gets to do a lot there because she plays Natalie. But I'm just kind of like, yo, you're wasting talent. And what's crazy is that there are 4 people in this movie that are part of like the DC universe at some point, because you have Anthony I'm getting tongue tied. Anthony LaPlaga, I think his name is. He was Lex Luthor in All-Star Superman. Then of course you have Tyler Buck, who is Natalie in Superman and Lois. And then you have that one girl who plays Mary Marvel from Shazam. Something Grace. I forget her last name. But that actress and stuff. And then of course Peter Saffron's daughter, she appeared in like 2 of the Shazam movies as just playing like, a background-ish type character. She was the cat girl. Some girl in the car with a cat, something like that. From the second movie. So that's kind of crazy. There's a couple of DC people up in here, man. Like, that's awesome. But yeah, it really frustrates me that there's really no good character development or progression, especially when you have these big names like Miranda Otto. How do you squander her acting in this movie? She really didn't do much, man. It wasn't even her crucified on the wall. It was like a stunt double person. And, it's just like she's such a great actress and stuff. And she barely did anything in the movie. And it's like when you get to the very, very, very beginning of this movie with like the family and then that time jump, it's kind of like, well, what the heck happened? And why is this orphan girls, little orphan Annies are like, entering the house and stuff? Like, I don't get that. And so, like, then, I'm assuming, okay, it's only the father there. What happened to his daughter and what happened to the wife? And so, like, then we find out, oh, the wife is still alive and everything, but she has like a face mask covering it halfway on her face, kind of like the Phantom of the Opera type thing. And I'm just like, well, what the heck happened to her? And so you don't find out until like the end of the movie when she explains it and we see it in the flashback. Personally, I would have loved to see the flashback in the very beginning of the movie. That would have made the father look more suspicious, be like, yo, dude, you got this creepy demonic thing in your house and like you don't tell nobody. Like, I would have more appreciated that a whole lot more. And so other than pacing and like character development, that's like the only problems I have with this movie, and the ending, of course. But other than that, this movie was really cool. It was really creepy. It wasn't scary. Because the problem with the jump scares in this whole Conjuring universe, they happen so quickly. I have no idea what's going on. So you have to like really pay attention and rewind it and stuff. And so like I like jump scares when they're a little bit slower and I can like, grasp everything in. But basically, it's about a little teeny tiny girl named Annabelle, and apparently she died. And so at some point, I guess, the family made some type of deal with the devil and put her soul in that of Annabelle, the little doll, the little porcelain doll. But, they thought they had their daughter back, right? Until they realized, yo, girl's acting a little demonic. So after calling a priest and all this other stuff, they put the doll in the closet, in the little girl's room, and put like, scriptures everywhere to try to contain him. All these Bible verses and stuff. Well, time passed and a bunch of orphans are living there. And we have this nun lady. And like the nun lady, like, whatchamacallem? She was kind of cool, but we really don't know much about her. We don't know nothing much about any of these people. But like, what's her name? Janice and everything, played by Talitha, I believe her name is Bateman. I wonder if she related to that one Bateman star. I don't know. But like she has polio and she's my favorite character. She's so nice and sweet and she has her little like disability and stuff like that. And she has a best friend named, I think it's Linda, I believe, played by Lulu Wilson. And so they want to be friends to the end. So that's the only part of the characters we know about these two. One has polio and the other one's her best friend for life. Kind of like Chucky, but not evil like Chucky. But yeah, they're like best friends and stuff. And so Janice, she goes into the room she's not supposed to go into. We know something suspicious with that room because the father is all like, don't go in that room, like in a really grumpy voice and stuff like that. And it's like, why, dude? Why? But we can kind of figure why. But I really didn't have no idea as to what the heck was going on. I just knew that this movie is about like an evil doll. And so like she keeps going back and forth in that room. And every time she's in that room, something creepy happens. Like the door will open, lights will turn on, all kind of weird stuff. It's the demonic ghost thing. And so then when they threw her over the balcony, I'm like, oh, no, man, she's dead. But she's not. But now she's in a wheelchair and she's hating it. Like, she just hates it to death because she feels like she's a burden to everybody. But she has her friend Linda to keep her company and stuff. And so, like, she knows she saw something. Nobody else really believes her. The two older girls, they saw something, but one of them pretend like they're not. And so when the girl was outside in the wheelchair, here comes that demonic little ghost thing, pushing her into the shed and scaring the crap out of her. And of course, it takes over her body. So now I'm like, oh no, not a possession and everything. Cause like, she's gone now for the rest of the movie and stuff. Cause now there's an evil thing inside her. But this is when the movie starts to shift. Now the girl who plays Janice, she does a really good job when she plays Janice. It's just when she plays Annabelle, I'm not really convinced because she's not really acting creepy or scary all that much. She's not really that scary in her portrayal. But Janice can tell that there's something weird about her. How exactly? I'm not quite sure. When I say Janice, Linda can tell that Janice, something's wrong with like Janice. But I'm not quite sure how she knows that because for the most part, Janice is acting somewhat normal. She's just saying slightly weird stuff at times in a different tone of voice. But for whatever reason, here comes the fast pacing. She realizes something's wrong and she thinks it's the doll. So what does she does? Because she knows what's name's been going in that room and some weird crap was happening. So this is where we get a cool scene where Linda takes the initiative to grab the doll, run outside in the middle of the night, and throw the doll down in the well. This catches the attention of the nun. But I'm wondering, why did she decide to throw it in a well? Why not chop it up with the axe? Why not burn it? Or just like something like, And so, but she goes and she tries to throw it in the well, only for her to look down in the well after she does it, and some demonic hand tried to grab her and bring her down for the nun to save her. And like I said before, the creepy stuff, oh man, it's so awesome. Because as soon as she goes in the house, she's all like, Janice, we got rid of the doll. She pulls that cover back, boom, it's the doll and everything. I'm like, oh my God, how the heck that doll get back in the house? I'm all like, no, I'm thinking to myself, wait, hold up. Is she seeing like an illusion? Was it like Janice she threw down the well and not like the doll? But no, because Janice is just hiding around in the house. So the other girls are like looking for Janice and they get pretty creeped out because she's trying to kill everybody. And so when they were trying to talk to like the mom, Esther, and everything, she told them the backstory of what happened. So next thing you know, the mom gets killed off screen. Now actually that's the third problem I have with this movie. I want to see people get it, you know what I'm saying, when they have to die in horror movies. Don't do it off screen because she literally had her torso ripped off at the bottom, her hands chopped off, and crosses crucifying her hands or her wrists to like the wall. And it would have been nice to see, her get her, the demon thing killed the mom. Just like the dad. He had like a cross, but that don't do nothing. And so like, okay, well, if that's not working, what the heck is? And his finger snapped back, and next thing you know, he dies off screen. His body got contorted and everything like that. Oh yeah, that's right. That's when he died. That's when Linda tried to get rid of the doll. But then we see at one point, we see the little demon nun thing from like the Nun movies. They had to find a way to shove the nun in there somehow. But then after this is what gets kind of odd. All the girls try to escape via the car, but they're unable to. One is in the shed, and it's a really creepy moment where she tries to get the axe, and we knew the handle was going to come off, but then she gets rescued at some point. And so it's kind of like, why? I wish the girls would try to fight the demonic presence, instead of just like, them trying to run in the car. The girls are really useless in this movie, but basically it's just like, Linda facing off with the little demonic ghost thing, but she's no match for it. And then all of a sudden, here comes the nun after she got completely knocked out and thrown into like a glass mirror. But when she came back, it was weird. It just happened so fast. It's like she turns the girl around. She knocks, I think, the knife out her hand, puts a cross around her neck, and is all like, sorry, or something like that, and just like throws her in the closet. And I'm just like, what the heck did I just see? I had to rewind it and look again. I'm like, that's how they thought they defeated the little girl in that little like quick like type moment. But basically, this is what's so weird. In the house, looks like it's setting itself on fire, and then it's kind of like a slight boom, and then all of a sudden we realize that Janice, demon Janice, escaped through a hole in the wall that she busts through. And the priest is all like, the doll is just a regular doll. And so then we at an orphanage and we see Janice pretending to be Annabelle getting adopted. Then about 13 years later, she comes back home to the adopted family house and kills the family along with the guy. And it ends. And I'm just kind of like, couldn't you have slowed things down just a little? Because I'm trying to figure out what the heck just happened. And so, yeah, all in all, it's a really good creepy movie. Some really good special effects, and some really cool, like not necessarily jump scares, but creep scares, I guess I'll call them, and or jump creeps or whatever. And so, like, I just wish there was more character development, and I wish there was like slower pacing and stuff. Because at the end, I'm just left utterly confused, but I had a good time. Okay, so right after I made the recording for this video, I went and saw if I could find any of the other Conjuring movies, like, on my TV. And I was able to find Annabelle on Hulu, but it's gonna like expire soon. And so I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. So after watching, 12 minutes in, I'm like, oh, okay, now the ending of this movie makes perfect sense. Now I get it and stuff. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.